Hello Bond fans! So yesterday, thanks to the good people at Activision and MI6HQ.com, I got to go to the UK press release of the new Bond game 007 Legends. It was a really cool event, and David Wilson was there, and he gave a speech, and they gave us a screening of the new Everything or Nothing documentary, and then everyone got to have drinks and play the game. And then as we were leaving, we got our goodie bags, which included a copy of the game ahead of its UK release. So, how does 007 Legends shape up? Well, if you liked GoldenEye Reloaded, it's much of the same stuff when it comes to gameplay, really. One of the things I was most intrigued about this game was how the promotional material leading up to this release has been banging on about how the writer, Bruce Fierstein, has written a story which would connect all these different Bond adventures. For those who don't know, the levels are based on missions from Goldfinger on a Majesty Secret Service license to Kill, Die Another Day, Moonraker, and Skyfall. Each level contains the specific villains from the specific film featured in the level, and because of this I was very curious to see how they would weave together all these different stories and plots and characters into one coherent storyline, and in short, they don't. The game opens with Eve from Skyfall shooting Bond and him falling into a river, a la the Skyfall trailers, and as he's sinking he has flashbacks to his previous missions. And that's the connection, folks. They're all flashbacks. I know this is a minor thing, and I know when it comes to a game, it's the gameplay that should be the important thing, but I find the best Bond games are the ones where they have their own original stories, like Nightfire, and yeah, it's a good idea paying homage to 50 years of Bond with this game, but if they were going to be so tenuous with the links to these missions, then I'd really rather they just use the likenesses of each Bond for each appropriate mission. Putting Craig in there for it all just feels a bit odd. It's freaking weird seeing him and Diana rig, and there's a really cringy cutscene where Tracy's like, "I don't know what you want me to say, James," and Bond replies with, "Oh, say yes." It's just painful. They don't even really stick that closely to the films that they're portraying in the levels, which wouldn't necessarily be a problem for me if I didn't feel like they were diverting from it so much that I lose a certain feeling of nostalgia. Voices and likenesses are good on the whole, but it wasn't up until actually playing the game that I realised they weren't using Daniel Craig to voice Bond, which is strange, seeing as he's voiced other games featuring his Bond, but then, you know, Pierce didn't voice Bond in Nightfire, so maybe this is okay, except the guy they got to do Daniel Craig's voice is poor. Really poor. It's interesting to know that somewhere along the line of developing, it was decided to change the appearance of Dr. Goodhead. I have no idea why. Maybe Lois Charles' likeness cost too much, or more likely, maybe she just didn't give consent. I don't know, but Lois Charles is in the trailers. It just adds to the general feeling that this game was really rushed through development to be on the shelves of Skyfall's release, and that's my main complaint. It just all feels rushed. Cutscenes just kind of feel like they're shoehorning in Bond moments, like the ejector seat and the laser and things like that, and it's like, well, due to the flashback nature of the game, if I wasn't a Bond fan, I wouldn't have had a clue what was going on. Like, you end the Goldfinger level with the plane falling out of the sky after Goldfinger's been sucked out, then, ooh, water, then, ooh, okay, Bond is skiing and talking to this woman about marriage, what the hell? My guess is the game is made more for Bond fans than it is gamers, and it'll probably be the Bond fans that appreciate the game more, but anyway, how is the gameplay? Well, much like GoldenEye Reloaded, we have annoying Call of Duty influences in here still. Huzzah and hooray for including a classic health system, though. I really can't stand health that regenerates. It pisses me off when in games like this you can only carry 2 or 3 guns. I love the older games where you could carry a whole arsenal around with you. Now it's like I spend time umming and ahhing over whether I'm going to exchange my P99 for a Talker, and it's just let me have both. There are no bots in multiplayer, which really pisses me off, but there are plenty of modifiers which are fun and cool, paintball and whatnot. I much prefer how the guns feel and sound when you shoot them. In GoldenEye Reloaded, I always felt like the weapons sounded kind of puny and pathetic, but here they sound strong and powerful, and thank the broccoli we have gadgets in a Bond game again. I love the laser watch, and it's great, and why it wasn't in Reloaded I'll never know. I would say without a doubt that the best thing about this game is playing through these levels with some classic Bond music playing. It's great hearing the Goldfinger music as you're storming Fort Knox. I feel for the past few years we've been starved of classic Bond themes in these games, so it's really wonderful to hear them again. I'll probably give a more in-depth look at this game sometime in the future after it's had some time to sink in, really, and we'll see how it ranks compared to the other Bond games, but my first impressions are, on a whole, okay. Well, I prefer it to Quantum of Solace and Bloodstone anyway. I don't know, if someone held a golden gun to my head and I had to choose whether I was going to recommend the game or not recommend it, I would probably say I would recommend it to Bond fans, but not to gamers, I guess, and I would also say that if you're looking for a really great modern Bond gaming experience, just go out and get GoldenEye Reloaded, because that's the best Bond game of the Craig era by far, or just wait for 007 Legends to come down in price a little bit. But if you're a Bond fan, I'd possibly, maybe, perhaps say that you might like it a bit. The music really is great, though.